been given permission to tell the story from Al White-Eye, who's here tonight. This is Al White-Eye in my Indigenous Persons Court. Well, first, I'd like to thank the judge and the Crown for listening here. But in 1955, August, I was kidnapped off the reservation with a bowl of Jell-O. But not just me, my brothers and sister. This is all in the record of Toronto and Ottawa. And I was walking home from my grandmother's to my father's, and a car pulls up, a government car, and asked us if we wanted a bowl of Jell-O. And we said, yeah, because we didn't know what it was. So we got in, and they gave us a bowl of Jell-O, and we were supposed to cook our meals for our mother and father, and they were out in the harvest fields in the summertime. They were bringing in the harvest. And we ate, and after we ate our Jell-O, the lady, my oldest brother, said, take us home. Because our parents were coming home, and they go, no, we'll ride around for a bit, then we'll take you home. We rode around and we fell asleep. And when we woke up here at the residential school, and we stayed there for 10 years. And anyway, we got beat up because we couldn't talk our language. And out of the 10 years, it was a pretty rough way to go. Towards the end there, everybody was going home, and they started bringing kids in from Moose Factory. And they couldn't speak English. Just the bigger ones to help them out. That there was 5 or 6 year olds, well 15 that are older. These ones that were coming in and they didn't send us home. They sent everyone else home. We were there. Didn't know what was going on. And there's a girl side over there. And there's this girl from Ohsweken named BH. And we're sitting in the front of the residential school. Everyone knows what it looks like. A driveway round and big steps up to it. I'm sure everybody's seen it. And we're sitting there talking. And B wanted me to take her home to Ohsweken. And then she'll give me a ride to Ramling Town. It sounded good, but I got to Ohsweken and I didn't get to go home. So while we're sitting there, the staff come along. They grabbed her hair, put her arm back behind her back, bring us upstairs, and beat us up. They beat B up first and then took her out, and then I got called into the office, and then I got beat up. That's where I got these scars here, right here on the back of my head. And then I got it pretty good, and they threw me in the room. They took all my clothes, my undershorts, and everything. And I stayed there about 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, until my bruises went down. And sitting there one day, a knock comes on the door. And they throw me some clothes. Here, put these on. So I put them on, and the knock comes telling me to get away from the door. So I back up. 2 OPP come in, put me in handcuffs, and brought me here to Brantford. And then they sent me to Bowmanville for 12 months. Folks, for you who don't know Bowmanville, it was a notorious boys' training school that was the subject of a significant lawsuit for the abuses that went on in Bowmanville throughout the years. Al goes on to say, I stayed there, which was pretty rough, and I stayed there. And then the only way I could get out is to go to school in London, which I did, so that's how I got out. But I had, which I didn't know anymore, but in '67 riot in Detroit, I was there when that went on. And the 82nd Airborne come in, and they cleaned it up and everything, the riot. The riot was pretty good, and I seen that patch. I liked it. So I joined the Army, and I joined the 82nd Airborne with that patch. And then I joined them to try and get even with the government. So I served with the 82nd Airborne 1 year down in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And then I went to Vietnam and hooked up with the 173rd Airborne Brigade. So first I had to go to Missouri as a combat engineer. And I knew how to blow everything up, bridges, houses, roads. We worked on C4, all kinds of it, all kinds of C4 and dynamite. That was our job for combat engineers. And then I went to NAM with the 173rd Airborne Brigade. But I didn't stay combat engineer, I'm in infantry. And then I get there, I got my leg shot off, shot in the arm, below the chest, one there, one here. And I got 6 Purple Hearts. And so after I had my leg blown off, I just couldn't believe it. So I had to live with that. Just think about the abduction of Enos's children by this government. That's why I've dedicated this talk to the memory of Enos J. White-Eye. When I was asked to speak at this evening's lecture, I went to a resource that I've had since 1970. It's the concise Oxford Dictionary. In the first page is the inscription, Gethin Edward, Christmas, 1970, Dad and Mother, in my mother's handwriting. I have used this dictionary as a student, as a lawyer, and now as a judge. 1970 was when the Mohawk Institute closed. I reflect on the very sad memories of Al White-Eye, who was last abused in the Mohawk Institute when he was 15, and the very happy memories I had from that Christmas in 1970 when I was 15. When I look at the definition of reconciliation in that dictionary, it says, quote, to make friendly after estrangement. In the context of my work, I would add the following to that definition of reconciliation. 1, to listen when in the past we did not. 2, to recognize the strength of a tradition and culture when before we ignored it. 3, to not stay set in our ways when challenges require change to counter the effects of colonialism and the fallout from residential schools. And 4, to be inspired by those who have done inspirational things despite being given very little reason for needing to do so. That's what reconciliation means for me as a judge. It is these stories that need to be preserved in this effort to save the evidence, and I commend this community for doing so.